All right, let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of the program. Merely Bo, the great Z. How you doing?
Well, I've been dealing with a back ailment, but apparently I'm doing better than you.
What's
going on? You got to tell the people what happened here. I'm amazed.
We're down a guy.
You're laughing and breathing, so I don't think you have a broken rib.
I definitely don't. I don't think it's a broken rib. I do think that there has been perhaps some sort of jostling or jarring of my rib cage that occurred when we did not have enough humans.
Look, I give people a little
background.
background.
Go ahead.
Not for the sixth grade. You were in a high stakes rec league.
No.
And a guy who played D1 ball, about 6'7", 245, elbowed you in your ribs, and now you're on the shelf. Right? I mean,
that's a more glorious view of rather what feels to me like a cracked rib from a sixth grader.
I'm sorry.
That's probably a better story.
It's an unbelievable. Unbelievable.
He winged me. He got me good. I mean, it was a direct hit. We were working on a trap drill, and I came up to trap. We were down a couple of kids, so we had a couple of coaches that had to help, and it was a direct hit. And it kind of was I knew it was going to hurt.
How did you sell it in front of the kids? Or
no
complete
pain.
no sell?
They're in school now, so they'll never hear this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I acted like it was nothing.
You come home. Did the blonde tend to your wound? I mean, you're a.
She's not tending to anything.
You were like a wounded deer.
No, come on. It's just sympathy.
Injured.
We have children. We travel tomorrow. I'm sure they have testing. Like, come on. No, there's no attention given to me whatsoever.
I care.
I know that you do, and I appreciate it, despite your cackling.
I mean,
I do appreciate. I think, that
but I can understand how
genuine concern for me.
A sixth grader's elbow would come, I would imagine, to a very sharp point.
It does, yeah, and he's a formidable sixth grader.
Yeah,
I mean,
clearly they work out now.
They do. They lift. They're lifting now. They have a lifting program this summer. They're gonna go do that. So I don't know. Yeah. So that
does that not stunt their growth anymore? That was when we were kids. That was the whole thing. It was like you weren't allowed to lift until you were like.
I don't think it's very
grade.
smart to be lifting at this age, other than body weight. Talking to the people that I've talked to about it, that it should just be body weight really until like high school. Probably.
There was this guy in our league who played for St. Bede's, and his name was Booby, and he looked like he was built. I'm trying to think of like you remember Dale Davis?
Yeah, I remember Dale Davis.
He was built like Dale Davis in the 5th grade. Yeah. Worked out all the time, lifted. He also was built like Dale Davis in the 8th, 9th, and 10th, and 11th, 12th grades, but looked the same as he did in the 5th grade.
Did not grow beyond.
Yes. Maybe got a little more swole. But
yeah.
I mean, he was like veins popping off of the peaks of his biceps in 5th grade. Like, nuts.
Everybody's got that guy.
Yeah.
Who that was the peak of the athleticism.
Who's a better like body guy that I could? Dale Davis.
No, Dale Davis is the correct one. That's the correct
ripped.
body guy. That's the correct rip. I also think, as you were saying that, and you mentioned his name was Booby, I've come to the conclusion, having you said that if your nickname is going to be Booby, you're a dude.
Yes, he was
Booby Miles, Booby Gibson. Like if that's
this Booby, he was very formidable.
Yeah, you're formidable if you're going to go with that nickname.
You didn't go into the paint.
No,
against St. Pete's.
No, you're not going in there.
Yeah,
so
you wanted none of that.
Yeah, so we'll have the father-son game for that age group will happen in like 2 weeks. We did the 4th grade one on Monday.
You better go.
I'm going to get – I think they have like those flak jackets that the guys wear around their ribs. I'm getting one of those.
We got to get you to UH. We're hearing all the ads, whether your name is like Joe Garrett or Miles Thomas. You can get the same level of service. So.
Yeah. Get me in there.
We know some people.
Get it worked out. See what we got going on.
Please wear the we had a former quarterback who used to sometimes wear the huge
That's what I want.
It's a hilarious look. I'd love you to wear it.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
I wonder if there's one down there.
I
wonder if Mellon's got one I can borrow.
Mellon 100%
for sure
could get me one to wear.
Oh man,
it'd be amazing to show up in that.
Show up the next practice. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know what happened. Happy Valentine's Day, boys.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
It's nice. It's nice. How do you guys do? Did you feel like you did a good job this morning with your efforts?
So we take Valentine's Day off because tomorrow is our wedding anniversary.
Happy early anniversary.
Yeah, tomorrow will be 5 years, believe it or not.
I do believe it because it was the first year that after I did the first season, and that was it. So that you were planning it in that season, and it happened. So I knew that it was around that time, but it is tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
5 years, and then we head back to the site of the nuptials in Scottsdale on Saturday.
That's perfect. Outstanding.
Can't wait.
I love that. That's perfect. Yeah, it's good.
How did you do?
I don't know.
Did you get 2 gifts?
No, I think that LD. Why would they take the second one back?
Because she was happy with the first one.
Yeah, but you're going to need another one for Susie at some point.
The second
Like
gift.
it's not plausible that you would return it because you know she's going to be dissatisfied with you at some point. They were going to go run a scheme that she would have disapproved of. Why not have that as a backup plan?
I liked it. Get 2 gifts. If she likes the first one, she never gets the second one. If she doesn't like the first one, you're like, oh, well, I also got you this.
Yeah, I think that didn't make sense. Knowing her the way that those two should have, you keep that for when you screw up later on that day.
Yes. I also thought, so I rewatched yesterday.
Yeah.
And I actually laughed more the second time.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed some of the
Much
things
better
about
than
it.
the first one.
But to the point of they're dropping a casual $500-$600 on a jacket, purse, whatever,
Right.
like it was nothing because it is nothing to them.
Right.
That the security deposit is on a one-story, like, wasn't the most expensive Airbnb in the world. There's no security deposit was more than like the purse they bought her.
It was less.
For sure.
For sure. I mean, that Airbnb in Atlanta, it can't be more than a couple $100 a night.
Even if it's
$300 or $400 a night?
right,
500
even if it's
a night?
$500 a night.
Right. And his budget for an Airbnb would be more like $10,000 a night.
It'd be on
Whatever he
wanted it to be.
Wherever he wanted to be. Like the fact that he would just be in a neighborhood on a side street.
The truth is, he probably would be in Atlanta staying at the Ritz or
Of course.
one of the nice,
St. Regis or the Four
whatever.
Seasons
Yes.
or whatever it may be
Yes.
down there, whatever they have.
Exactly.
That's where he would be. Yeah. And he would have a suite and he'd be at
Yes.
the top and he's not going to be dealing with
he's
this
not-
nonsense.
It's
that
just
he had to
funny,
deal
though,
with.
some of the hoops that they had to jump through in that episode to get
get
the
that-
things that they wanted done.
It was 2 episodes in a row
Yes.
where they jumped through extraordinary hoops to tell one joke.
Yeah.
And while the joke was it's a joke, I don't know that the payoff was worth the juice wasn't worth the squeeze for anybody other than LD.
I'll tell you what,
It was
for
a
the-
joke just for him.
when he talks to the guy about Camembert and when he talks about giving up the Marconi.
Yeah,
Marconi almonds
Yeah, that's
with a
Marconi
little
almonds.
truffle oil
little
and
truffle
sea
oil.
salt. The guy's just like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
doesn't know what he's
It was
talking about,
great.
man. That was good.
And the Miracle on 34th Street line was amazing.
Yeah, that was
When
very.
he's like, if that was you, nobody would care.
Nobody would care. That was. I think I texted you that
did
when I
text
was
me that
watching.
line.
It. That was very.
I
very
enjoyed that one. That made
good.
me laugh.
That was
again.
solid. We have. Go ahead.
Say we have some news.
We do have news.
We have news.
Looks like
and reportedly.
Reportedly,
Yes.
Ben Bloom expected to join Bill Callahan's staff in Tennessee as an offensive linebacker coach. Actually, not Bill Callahan's staff. Brian Callahan's staff. Bill Callahan was here.
I was gonna say that's one of the things that's probably gonna be hard. That's gonna happen more often than he would like.
If you're Brian,
Yes.
yes, yeah.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah, because
For sure.
it will feel. I mean, it will feel that way. For
And
sure.
by the way, Bill is, I think, overjoyed about how cool the opportunity is to go work with his son, and so maybe he would approach it differently than either of our fathers were, and Brian clearly approached it differently than we would.
They obviously have better relationships than you and I have with ours. I wonder if the
By the way, we can get rid of the speculation. The Titans put out the release, and
so
he's
it's
on their
official.
website.
He's on the
That's
website.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
All
the
right,
next
so
one's
there's no
reportedly. We got a new big reportedly.
Real quick, I want to put a final ribbon on the
Ben Bloom?
the Bill
Sure.
Callahan, Ben Bloom part of this.
I'm gonna miss Ben Bloom. Can I just say that? Can I take 2
of
seconds?
course. Takes 20 minutes.
I'm gonna miss Ben
the
Bloom.
off season.
I really enjoyed him.
No, he was just saying live.
Was
Yeah,
his
take
mic
your time,
on?
Stretch.
no, I was just yelling. Take 25. Take 30.
you ever do that?
You're fine.
Did you ever? That was always the signal in TV for
Yeah.
when
I've told you guys
they'd
to
be
do
like,
that before.
They'd be like, "Oh yeah, we don't have the next piece of video isn't ready," and so like the floor directors would give you this.
Okay,
Stretch.
I'll talk.
Okay, you
Sure.
like that? My favorite part when I would get that when I was in the television was when I was done with everything that I was done with, and they would go like this. And I'm like, "Tell me a minute and a half ago," and I could have elaborated
right.
on the topic of
could've
that
slowed the
segment.
pace.
Yes. Now I'm out. You got all my material here, people.
you got.
You want to do an Ask Me Anything? I mean, what are we doing here?
AMA.
You
for sure.
bozos.
So
go ahead.
Ben Bloom, really enjoyed him. He gave some great interviews. Really got to know him. I'm bummed that he's not going to get to coach with Andy Dickerson.
Yeah.
Because they were together at Tufts, and that was something I know they were both very excited about. But obviously, with Jacques Césaire coming in here, he wasn't a position coach here and still gets the opportunity to do that and work with the pass rushers in Tennessee. He reminded me, for those people who watch the show Dave, he reminded me of the titular character of Dave as a NFL coach, and I loved it.
Do I know that show?
It's the rapper. Can I say his name?
No, you can't.
I don't think I can.
Okay, I know it.
The
Once
white
you said the
rapper.
rapper, I knew.
And he just kind of, he and Ben Bloom have very much the same affect,
Similar, yeah.
same style.
I like that. I think that's
And
fair.
that's why I loved him. And I told him that. I said that you're Dave.
That's right.
So I'll miss him. I'll miss our conversations. He was great, and you can never forget in the sideline to sideline of our playoff clinching game, which was over the Jets on Thursday night. He's the one who kicks that off, talking about the primetime guys that we've got here, and obviously says it a little more colorfully.
For sure. I think the biggest thing with Bill, the other difference between him, I don't think Bill probably wants to go take over the staff. If Pedro came in here, he would be trying to usurp and take over. If my father came in the mix, I'd have to deal with him. He would be trying to take over everything. He's the yoke. He would try to apply the yoke as soon as he walked in the door, regardless of his status. And I don't think Bill's going to do that at all.
Yoke, not just yoke, mutiny.
Oh, it would be a mutiny.
Full undermining.
Constantly
kneeling, wishing for failure.
Rooting against their own offspring's successes.
Yeah.
That's what would happen. And Bill, I don't think, is going to do that. I think he's going to have Brian's back.
If I were the head coach of the Browns, let's just say.
Yeah.
And I hired my dad to be on my staff.
That's correct.
He would somehow give everything from our game plan that week to Kyle Shanahan.
There's no question.
There's no doubt in my mind.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
No, there's no question. You would go to ownership and you would say, I think someone's trying to undermine me. And they would say, I don't know what you're talking about. And you would say, well, trust me, I think it's happening. They would do an investigation, and sure enough, Pedro.
Yeah.
Undermining.
Yeah.
My dad would do the same thing.
And he'd be like, what did I do?
And by investigation, they would go to Pedro and ask, and he'd be like, yeah.
Yeah.
He probably would.
You
Probably
could have
would.
just come to me to begin with instead of doing
He
a
did try
week-long
to defend
investigation.
himself in the trial of Pedro, but
The second trial of Pedro
both of them, he
fell flat. I mean,
he's not good at right.
No, there's no defending it when you're
Guilty.
hooked.
When you're caught red-handed.
So then yesterday afternoon, before the rib incident,
Ribgate.
I started to get 1,000 Ribgate. I started to get 1,000 texts and social media mentions about a report linking a former Ohio State linebacker who I am quite familiar with.
That's
with
right.
a job opening here,
Which there
isn't one. And so that report is categorically false.
Who's your source?
Me. I'm the source.
As a proxy.
Yes.
Yeah, the conduit.
Yes. As a yes.
From a named principal.
Properly sourced. That's
Yes.
not. Now,
I don't know if that's enough, though.
I would also
to be fair.
we might need more than because we have had firsthand.
I do
and we've
require
still had to
2
say
sources
Yes.
normally.
multiple
Well, we've had
sourcing.
The people involved.
Your own eyeballs and people involved aren't enough
Telling
in
you.
many instances. You
Yeah.
have to. I don't know if do I need to bring him up here from Columbus and sit him here and have him
You
say
could call
it?
him right now.
Yeah, we can call. Well, he's probably busy. I will say this. That doesn't mean that I'm sure that he would have. I'm sure at some point he would have an interest in going to the league. I don't think that that's not necessarily the case. But college football is a bit of a snake pit at the moment. So I think everyone's trying to find a little bit of a life raft out of that sport. But as written, there was no truth to it. Now here is the real conundrum of this, though. So this morning, I'm doing my morning works, and the same entity that originated that social media posting about James originated a social media posting that Ohio State was going to fire its basketball coach, Chris Holtmann, this morning.
Now,
I've never heard of this entity.
Sure.
I don't know. I have no idea what it is or where it's about. The first part of it, I can tell you, is not true. However, they did this Holtmann thing, and then by noon, Chris Holtmann was fired, reportedly. Now everyone's confirming it, but the basketball coach at Ohio State was fired this afternoon. So I don't know. This guy's got a little smoke to him.
A little something.
Whoever this guy is, I've never heard of him. I don't know who he is. He's out of Delaware, Ohio, and he tweeted it. And all I can say is the part about threes is not correct, but he did get this Holtman thing right today. So I don't know if he's just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. I have no idea.
He's got some
50-50 batting average in the last 24 hours.
It's not bad.
Yeah, you'd be a Hoff. You hit 500.
Oh my God. You'd have every record.
Everything you'd want. Yeah. So this a wild last 24 hours or so.
Quite wild. And for you, I mean, we're just trying to keep you healthy here.
Why do you fire the basketball coach with a month left? I mean, unless
The
you want to get a
statement that
jump
this is
start on
unacceptable.
finding the replacement.
You asked the question, you had the answer. That's it. They are through the years. Chris he's become a friend. He's a great person. I think he had the best intentions. I think he wanted to build something sustainable over a long period of time, and I think they just missed on kids. They missed on several kids, and an example of that is Michi Johnson. So they get Michi Johnson on campus a year early. He graduates high school a year early, goes to Ohio State, and he's a 17-year-old. And it was tough, right? So he plays his first year at Ohio State, then he plays his second year at Ohio State, and gets about 5 points a game, hit a game winner early in the season. And then they basically say, look, we don't really have room for you. Like, we're bringing in this Bruce Thornton kid. So Michi goes to South Carolina, and last year had 30 at Rupp, and they knocked off Kentucky. This year South Carolina is ranked 11th in the country. Michi's averaging 15 a game. So he should be a senior at Ohio State. And there was no reason for that to happen that way. So who knows what led to it? It almost doesn't matter. There's another one, Jaden Ledee, who's a kid who's averaging 20 a game at San Diego State, who started out at Ohio State. Now his path was more bumpy, like he went to TCU and then eventually got to San Diego State, had to sit out a year. Like that one wasn't quite a straight path. But you're in a performance business, and they haven't won a road game in over a year. A true road game they haven't won in over a year.
That's wild.
That's not going to. It's ain't going to cut it, you know. And so their roster's backwards. They didn't develop and bet on some of the right kids. When, for example, they had Buckeye great Scooney Penn was on that staff, and when he left to go to Memphis, they took a big hit because he was one of the reasons they got Malachi Branham, the kid out of St. Vincent St. Mary, who was Mr. Ohio and first-round pick of the Spurs a couple years ago. Scooney was big in that recruiting, and they just didn't have anybody like that anymore who could go sell the program. And it's a tough job. It's a tough job. It's a good job in that you can make $3.5 million a year with very little pressure. But with very little pressure also comes very little money from NIL to go get the guys you want. Very little money to put together great recruiting classes. So because that's all going to football. It's always going to football. Football's going to get the money. Football, you need $2.5 million for a safety. Done. We'll get you 2 weeks. We'll get it for you. Basketball, you need $500,000 for a transfer. Tougher to come by.
Yeah.
So that you're always just a distant. So the reason they fired him now is it's possible, for example, Indiana could need a new coach. Mike Woodson's having a tough time there. It's possible Juwan Howard will be out at Michigan.
Yeah.
So you need to get ahead of it. Identify whoever that is. Well, who's the guy at South Carolina who's at Cleveland State?
Cleveland State guy Dennis Gates, he went to Missouri.
So who's the guy? Who's at South Carolina? He has Ohio ties.
Yeah, he's from Findlay.
That's how Michi was. He at Toledo? No, not Toledo. How did he ended up?
Lamont Paris is his name. He's at South Carolina.
He's at South Carolina, but he has Ohio ties.
Yeah, he's from
He's
Findlay.
from Findlay. Yeah. So that name to me. In 2 years at South Carolina, they went from the bottom to they're ranked 11th in the country.
And that's taking a program like that doesn't have a track record of basketball success.
No.
In a conference that has some pretty big names and big teams.
It's the best conference. It is. I mean, the Big 12 is the best basketball conference, but top to bottom, the SEC is the best. Where was Lamont? Do you have it, Uno?
I do.
Where was he before?
So he was the head coach at Chattanooga from 17 to 22. That was his first head coaching gig. And he was an assistant at a lot of places before that.
Okay, so he was most recent. Okay, so his first head. Okay, so he was at Akron as assistant from 05 to 10. Started at Worcester as an assistant.
He played at Worcester, too.
And Wisconsin, he was there for 7 years.
So he
under
was
Bo
under
Ryan.
Dambrot at Akron then.
Yeah, so that would have been it. Yeah, I knew he had Ohio ties. So Gates is at Missouri. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, that you need somebody who can flip it in a hurry. It's college sports it's a brutal gig right now, man.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It feels like in every year it's a constant quest to maintain and reload and
there's no contract.
No.
So imagine if every year AB had to renegotiate with every player on the team. Every year.
It's untenable.
It is. It is. And by the way, did you see what ESPN's given for the college football playoff? Just for the playoff?
No.
$7.8 billion over 6 years.
What?
$7.8 billion over 6 years. The college football playoff is going to make $1.3 billion a year on the television rights just to the playoff.
So does
Yep.
that means ESPN's going to get every game
They're going to get every game of the playoff.
of the playoff.
Yeah.
Including
So
the national
a 12-team
championship.
playoff. You get those four first-round games,
Four
four
second.
quarterfinals, 2 semifinals, 1 championship game. They've got them all at
11
1.3. They
games.
doubled their money just on that.
So that's $100 million a game.
Yep. And the other thing that's
What
crazy
is there?
there's not even the crazy thing is that's not even their television package. Their television package is separate. So that's just for the playoff.
Correct.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, for 11 games.
For 11 games.
They're paying 1.3 billion. I mean, 1.1. What'd you say?
It's 7.8 over 6.
7.8 or 6. So they're paying 1.3 billion a year for 11 games.
Yep.
So that's over like
It-
100 million
million
and
per.
change per game.
Per game. Yep. Yeah. That's what college football has become.
What are like what was just to give me an apples
Mm-hmm.
to apples, what was the rating for the national championship compared to the rating for the Super Bowl?
Oh, I think I want to say the national championship was in the 20-some millions, 25 million, something like that.
So the Super Bowl then
Oh, gosh, yes. And
is
even
worth-
like the conference championship games are double.
are worth a gajillion.
They're double it. But here's the thing you have to remember. Not everybody can get in on the NFL. That's spread out
Totally.
so many places. So what's the next best thing that we can
This.
spend money on? This is the next best thing we can do. It's bigger than the NBA. It's bigger than the NHL, Major League Baseball.
Oh, yeah.
It annihilates them.
It's the number
and
2
they're not
sport.
even organized.
It's the number 2
They're not
sport.
even organized. They're all fighting individually. They're not even on the same page. They're all negotiating individually. Imagine if they actually got together and collectively organized what they would be worth. But they've never done that.
28 million watched the national championship game.
That's a good number.
It's a great number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
mean,
Michigan and Washington watched 28 million.
Isn't that
It is
NBA
literally
finals
half of what the AFC or NFC championship game.
Right, and it's
viewership
probably
was.
triple the average for the NBA finals.
Yes.
Because these idiots continue to put it on Monday night, which doesn't help.
Well, that's
the
another
cause either.
thing. Like that's the other part of it is that they've never actually been any point where it makes sense. They put it Monday
Should
night
be
at
on a
8:30.
Saturday
Of course,
at
it should
6
be Saturday.
o'clock.
Of course, Saturday at 6:30. But they need the NFL to give them their Saturdays so that they can do it. Which I think just have that conversation.
Yeah.
Just say we're the second most popular sport. We're giving you ready-made stars. Give us 3 Saturdays in December so we can play this thing out.
Yeah.
And be done before you start, and then your playoff will lead right into yours.
Yeah.
And to me, the NFL, I understand the NFL wants and their partners want to spread this stuff out on all these dates, but like, it feels like it'd be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's nuts, though, when you think about that.
Yeah. It's wild.
All right, so we've got Brownie Awards. We have the finals of the game of the year, so we will have that. Before we get to that, though, I should mention that those are your hot topics of the day presented by Vivid Seats, official fan experience partner of your Cleveland Browns. We have the Brownie Awards today. We'll take a look at some of the season reviews. We'll start with the quarterback position today as well. We'll do front office and coaching, some big questions for the offseason. Lots of news around the league as well, a little higher, lower, better, or worse to buttress the end of the program here on a First Friday. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Don't miss Billy Joel, Ron Stewart together for the first time ever Friday, September 13th, Cleveland Browns Stadium. Tickets are on sale now. Visit clevelandbrownsstadium.com/Billy and Rod for more information. It's Billy Joel, Ron Stewart together for one night only. The Brownie Awards are here, so here's where we stand. This is your finalists. This is it.
This is it, baby.
I would not have had this, by the way.
That
as
Ravens
the
game has a lot of cachet.
People have a lot of juice in beating the Ravens.
Yeah.
That carried a
They
lot
carried
of weight.
a lot of
in this
weight.
voting was
Yeah, you
beating
better
the
believe
Ravens.
it.
Because it was a beatdown. It was 59% to 41%. Greg Newsome's pick six versus the Ravens beat Miles's strip sack touchdown versus the Colts, 59% to 41%. And then I think what we've all said all along, the prohibitive favorite, which is Miles's blocked field goal against Indy. It beats the Chiefs' angry run versus Baltimore, 61% to 39%. So it's
Not as big as I would have thought.
I think there's an incredible affinity for the Chief.
Of course there is. And I think that the fact that Uno on that one cut it properly so you could have he wore Geno Stone like a backpack.
You think the audio played in?
I think it helped.
I think it did. All right, so do we have these? We have them. All right,
Yep.
so let's
Yeah, we
start.
got 'em.
Let's relive them. Here is Miles's blocked field goal versus Indy.
Sanchez kneels at midfield for this. Gay's going to try it from 60. It's blocked. Ball loose. Fight for it. Denzel Ward picks it up. Ward running across the Indianapolis 30.
That was Myles Garrett that blocked that field goal. And earlier this week, Bubba Ventrone, after he had his presser, was in our booth, and I said, man, Myles Garrett, how about that? He said, we're going to block a kick this week. He called it. Myles goes in, blocks it. Denzel scoops it, and the Browns in business. That's absolutely incredible. When he was in high school, I think one year he blocked 9 kicks and set a record in Texas. Jumps right over.
He jumped right over the center.
Man.
He went Superman. No contact. And Myles Garrett blocked it.
Great job, everybody.
Oh,
on
baby.
That one. So that has been the 1 seed. How would we put the Greg Newsome pick six? I would have it like a 7 seed,
I feel like it's like
6 or a 7 seed.
It's like a Virginia Commonwealth before they became like a perennial player.
Yeah, little Cinderella,
Yeah, a little
all
Cinderella.
the way through.
Yeah.
Who was
George Mason?
George Mason made a run to the Final Four. Did San Diego State make the Final Four last year?
San Diego State was the national runner-up.
National
last year.
runner-up.
They were
UConn
good.
got them. Yeah. But I
Florida-
want to say Florida Atlantic
I
was
gonna say
also.
Florida Atlantic.
They were in the Final Four.
They
yeah.
were a Final Four team last year.
There's your head coach.
Where's
Ohio
he?
State.
Who's that? Who's
Dusty May, head coach
don't
at
know.
Florida Atlantic.
that? Give me a little background.
Give us a little
there.
Uno scouting report.
Give me a little
Final
scouting.
one Final Four.
Yep.
Yep.
I'll get you the rest
Does
of the
he have
numbers.
ties to this part of the country at all?
I have no idea, but
Okay, we got to have some.
just a good name.
Dusty May's a good name.
Dusty May is a very good name.
Yeah.
That's just like my boy in Righteous Gemstones. What was it, Dusty Diamond? Or
Dusty.
was that his name?
120 and 65 as a coach, 4-1 in the NCAA tournament, Conference USA tournament champion, and then the Final Four last year.
Yeah.
From Peoria, Illinois.
Okay. All right. Midwest, that you got a chance.
Dusty
Played at
Daniels.
Indiana.
Dusty Daniels. Me and Dusty Daniels, because
Yeah.
it was
He's
we
a
threw-
NASCAR guy.
We threw caution to the wind. Remember it was Y2K? They threw caution to the wind. Do you remember this? Did you get this far into it?
No, I've only
You haven't
started.
seen this?
No, I've only
Oh, my
started season
God.
3. I've only started season 3. That's what I'm.
Oh, my God. You
I
have
got
that to
2
look
plane
forward
flights
to.
coming up. I'm gonna finish
Oh,
it
my
on my
God.
plane flights. I can't wait.
Well, Uncle Baby Billy and Dusty
Well,
Daniels threw caution to the wind.
I could tell it was Uncle Baby Billy from that.
Yeah. So they had what a great line. It was Y2K. We threw caution to the wind. All right, here is your matchup for Miles's blocked field goal. It's the Greg Newsome pick six versus the Ravens.
Clock winds under 8.5 to play here in the fourth quarter. Jackson adjusts his wristbands as he settles into the shotgun. Takes the snap, looks to his right. Ball is swatted high in the air, and it is intercepted by the Browns. Greg Newsome along the sidelines into the end zone. Touchdown Cleveland, 33 yards off the deflection at the line of scrimmage. No penalty flags.
It was a huge play because that game felt like it was over. I'm pretty sure I have the timeline on that right. That right before that, Prochet had fumbled the punt. They had scored. There was like a 2-score lead with 10 minutes to go. Felt insurmountable, and then you got the pick. We got a Greg's pick six, which was a massive play, first interception of his career. Yeah, that game does have a lot of juice to people because that was as I think about it more, it's not so much the Ravens. We beat the Niners, but we beat the Niners, and it wasn't like, our team. That was minus Nick Chubb. That felt like it was our team. It was Deshaun, and it was Amari, and it was the Chief, and it was Dustin Hopkins, and it was the defense, and that was the one where you won it, and you're like, okay, now we're real.
Yeah, and it's a win over them at their place, and they end up being the number 1 seed.
Correct. Exactly.
So it checks those boxes. So it ends up being defense versus defense.
Yep.
That's where we end up. So it ends up defenses versus defense for the Brownie Awards. We'll get those out. They got them out? Gibby's got them out. So there you go. That's the way that will go. What would have been your top 2 seeds if you were Joe Lunardi and you were putting this together? Who would have been your top 2 seeds?
The Miles field goal block against Indy, and I think Flacco's pass to Amari against the Bears.
Yeah. That one, I think, because it was the Bears and you were expected to win, you forget how that all happened and how it went.
We were down 17-7 through a pick at their goal line on a pass for the Chief that he underthrew, and then in the fourth quarter, he got red hot, hit a bomb to Goodwin. We score. Then he hits the Amari one, which was just an unreal play.
Yeah.
Polls are up now, by the way.
Polls are up now. Yeah, those two. And I thought, honestly, I'm shocked that Flacco getting hit in the head, rolling out left, getting it to Jerome Ford, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling through everything because it was the Thursday night game that didn't make it even in the Final Four.
Yeah, true. I don't know that. Yeah, it's interesting how this has played out. Like, it depends on who you're matching up against.
Right.
You know, like the Chief angry run was great.
Great.
And that to me feels like a Final Four type play.
Totally.
The Miles feels like, I agree with you on the Flacco Amari throw.
That should have been in there.
One, yeah.
Maybe the Ford one. And then I think the walk-off game winner against the Steelers.
Steelers for Hopkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
so much emotion.
There was. Yeah, that was
and people forget.
That one felt they did. That one felt like a season saving.
Totally.
Because of what had happened that week.
Yes.
Everything leading into it. That felt like so you're saying there's a chance.
And DTR is the one who led the game-winning drive, like all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is an interesting season to try to put into perspective because of all of those things, though.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wild.
All right. We will continue our position reviews. Actually, we'll start them. We will start at the quarterback position, take a look at what happened this year at the quarterback position, a lot, obviously, what we think it could look like this offseason and into next season. I have some questions for it as well. We'll get into all of that coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Bo here for my great friends at the James B. Beam Distilling Company, and nothing goes better with Knob Creek bourbon than a perfectly prepared steak. I like mine medium rare, baby. Knob Creek offering a $20 rebate when you buy their bourbon plus a steak. Yeah, that's it. Together or separately, it doesn't matter. Just upload a picture of your receipt to knobcreeksteakrebate.com. They're going to send you $20 to your Venmo account. The offer is valid until April 30th, 2024. Must be 21 to participate. See full terms and conditions at knobcreeksteakrebate.com. Knob Creek Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. 50% alcohol by volume. 2024 James B. Beam Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky. Drink smart. All right, we're beginning our position reviews for the 2023 season, and we start at the quarterback position. Before we get into it, let's take a look back and have a listen.
Yeah, no, you can't say enough about what this team
Have you guys down for now? It's about 3 minutes.
is and continuing to succeed, whether it's the run game or the offensive line, whatever it may be. I think you got to give the coaching staff and all the guys in there a ton of credit for how they've been able to maintain their focus and still have the belief.
Out wide left with Cooper. 2 to the right. Play action fake as Flacco drifts right, throws, and he's got Cooper open. He caught it. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! I don't believe it! Cooper open, and Cooper tightrope walks down the sideline. Tippy toes in.
What a throw by Joe Flacco. There weren't 1, 2, there were 3 Bears there. Threads the needle, the Bears run into each other, and Cooper tight ropes down the sideline.
Just be me. And, I don't want to return as a guy at Houston. I want to be better than that guy. So what I was, 2023, 3 years ago, I'm not the same guy. So I feel like I've improved, I've evolved to a new level, and I'm ready to be able to show that. Last year was a tricky time where, I was learning everything, but, I don't want to just get caught up on, hey, Houston this, Houston that. I had a lot of fun, a lot of success in Houston, but I want to have that success and start something new in Cleveland.
2nd and 15. Watson under center with Ford in the backfield. Fake handoff. Watson looking down the middle. He's got Cooper wide open for a touchdown. And Coop finally has that score with Deshaun Watson.
As you pointed out, should have been the 2nd touchdown, but can I interest you Browns fans everywhere? It's now no Nick Chubb, it's Deshaun Watson. 27 of 33, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a rating of 123.4.
Jerome Ford in the backfield with quarterback Deshaun Watson for the Browns. And Watson looking to pass from his 39. Watson will hoist that one deep down the right side of the field, and it is caught by Cooper, taken down at the 5 of Arizona. Big hookup. Deshaun Watson to Amari Cooper. Buda Baker finally stops Cooper, who gets the Browns a 1st and goal.
That's the Deshaun Watson you want to see. Amari Cooper was double teamed right there. Buda Baker, as soon as the ball was snapped, went over there. He dropped that in the absolute bucket.
They tie their shoes like us, man. Like, at the end of the day, like, they good, but, like, we all here for a reason. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. That's what it's about. I mean, they're a great team. They're a great football team. And for us, it's just go out there and battle. We ain't gonna bow down to nobody. And that's it.
Walker's trying to swing it out to him. No, now he looks right. Now it's a middle to Njoku. Gets it inside the 10, the 5, gets it down to the goal line where Julian Love tackles him, but not before he's into the end zone for a touchdown.
Same thing that was when I first got out there and we scored on I think the 2nd drive of the game. Is just taking one play at a time, follow my keys, follow my rules. If it's not there, take the check down. And don't make any play worse than what it is.
DTR back to pass, throws, middle, Cooper caught it on a slant. He's got it down to the Steeler 37-yard line on a 1st down. Joey Porter Jr. on the tackle. That's exactly what they did.
All right, there you go. Good job on that.
First
Setting
of all,
the tone.
Great job.
Great job.
Elite. Put yourself on camera. Take a bow. Get Griffin there, too.
Chef's kiss, boys. Chef's kiss. Yeah,
Where's Griff?
There
Griff,
he is.
get in
There's
there.
Griff.
Get him on the... There they
Hey!
Hey! Yes!
Look at that.
If you could have heard Griff when he slid over, he goes, "Move over, I gotta get in."
Yes. Tell him, Griff.
That's right.
That
Do you
is
guys
right.
know who Richard Nixon is?
The president.
Okay, just checking. We didn't know Demi Moore. I just want to make sure
Do you
that
know
at
what?
least know.
What gate was he most famous for?
Richard Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Watergate?
Ribgate, actually. Incorrect. Ribgate. It's Ribgate.
Uno,
Got it.
hot today. A real heater. Dusty May.
He is. Dustin Daniels. I can't wait. I'm so
As
envious.
soon as you said it, I knew it was Uncle Baby Billy.
Of course.
Yeah.
We threw caution to the wind.
It's unbelievable.
He is one of. I've decided that he's one of my favorite, completely unredeemable, at least thus far, completely unredeemable characters I've ever seen in a show ever, and somehow I
You
still
haven't
like
even
him.
gotten to
and
the-
everything about him is terrible.
And it's a rocket ship. It's even the third season.
Did they get Macaulay Culkin to play like his grown-up son?
Did they? I think they might. I can't remember. I don't know. He's the best. All right, we
Or
had
Haley Joel Osment.
that. I think maybe it was that. That feels more. Yeah.
Well,
that could be.
Harlan.
Holland.
Holland.
We had 5 different quarterbacks
Gosh.
start games for us last season. We've said many times it really feels like 3 different seasons happened in one. Deshaun Watson is back. DTR is back. PJ Walker's a free agent. Jeff Driscoll's a free agent. Joe Flacco is a free agent as well. In terms of their accomplishments statistically, Watson went 5-1, 61.4% completions, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. DTR went 1-2, 53% completions. One of those doesn't count, though. I mean, it's too bad we count that.
Yeah.
That first game was ridiculous. Nobody had a clue what was going to happen there. 440, a touchdown and 4 picks. PJ 1-1, 48% completion, 674, a touchdown and 5 picks. Flacco 4-1, 60% completion, 1,616 yards, 13 touchdowns and 8 picks. And then Jeff Driscoll 0-1, 50% completions, 166, 2 scores, 2 picks.
In the 10 games played by Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson, we were 8-2. I know it says Watson's 5-1, but that counts the Indy game. I'll give that one to PJ Walker.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's not a Watson.
But in the 10 games that those two played, the Cleveland Browns were 8-2, and I think that's what gives you some hope. And we were talking before, and I was saying to you, it wasn't what Deshaun didn't look like the old Deshaun, and that's obviously the thing to get back to. But I don't think people give enough credit for the Tennessee, Arizona, Baltimore sequence, which is something actually I think I said, then you said back to me, and now I'm saying it back to you. I do think that's because I'm more on that side of it.
You are. Yeah, very true. By the way, with that 8-2 record, I mean, you're just doing you're around 61% completions, you're 2,700 yards, you're 20 touchdowns and 12 picks. With those two is what they ended up combined. You want the pick numbers down.
Deshaun was 7-4, and Deshaun also had, I want to say, a rushing touchdown. So he was 8 total touchdowns, 4 picks.
Yeah.
Had a couple of fumbles as well, which actually the only fumbles he lost all year, believe it or not, were in that Pittsburgh game.
Yeah.
In that Pittsburgh game. Listen, this you had everybody on this list with the exception of Driscoll, and that's nothing against him. He was playing in a game that we were winning was not the goal of that game per se. It was not having anybody get hurt that you wanted to play in the playoffs. So he had a rough go. Throw him out because that game, the season was already decided what it would be. Flacco, Watson, DTR, Walker all had signature moments, and I think that's what's so cool. DTR's beating the Steelers. Walker's beating the 49ers and coming in against the Colts in that crazy game and getting a win. Flacco, we already know what he did. And then Deshaun played pretty well. Our margin of victory when Deshaun Watson was the quarterback was very, very big.
Yeah.
We had 3 blowouts.
You also, with the exception of Driscoll, who was the meaningless start, you needed every one of them.
Needed every single one of them.
Which was cool. Like
yes.
Every one of them had their moments. And so now the question will be, we need one to have a season-long moment. And so it'll be about Deshaun Watson's health. We've already seen how much this offseason has been about Deshaun Watson and the changes that were made offensively. And that brings us to one of our questions, Dr. Z, and that is this. How much can Ken Dorsey help Deshaun Watson this offseason and into next season?
Real quick, I just calculated in my head. We were plus 70. Our plus minus was plus 70, our differential, in the 5 games Deshaun Watson played.
Plus 70?
Plus 70.
In those?
24-3, so plus 21. Lost by 4, so back to 17. 27-3, so plus 24, that's 41. Plus 27, 68, and then beat the Ravens by 2, 70.
What were we in the Flacco games?
Flacco games, we were, let's see. The Rams game, that's a tough start. Minus 17. Then plus 4, so minus 13, then plus 3, so minus 10, then plus 14, so plus 4, then plus 17, so plus 21.
Plus 21 in those games.
Plus 21.
All right, there you go.
All right. Dorsey, how much can he help?
Yeah.
I think a great deal. I think that the overhaul that was done to this staff was done to help Deshaun Watson. So the answer is how much can he? I think a lot. He's got to. We have got to be a different, more explosive, more dynamic offense with Deshaun Watson than we were even a year ago, despite the fact that he did play pretty well in his last 3 outings that we saw. And the other thing is Ken Dorsey can only help him so much, right? Because one of the big keys is he's got to be able to stay healthy. And Ken Dorsey's not going to necessarily help him avoid injury.
You can't – the first season, there's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. But the most critical thing, because as you articulated in the plus 70 point differential, we articulated in a 4-1 record, the last 3 games especially that he played, coming into his own bigly. But the injury stuff can't happen.
Yeah.
It can't. He's got to stop getting hit. He's got to stop throwing his body around. He has got to find a way to get down and not get hit. This league goes to the greatest lengths possible to protect the quarterback. You have to let the league protect you. And he's too far along in his career. He's too valuable to this operation to get hurt.
What's unfortunate is the 2 injuries they think happened. Well, the first one against Tennessee happened when he got that late hit and he just kind of landed. So that's a total normal in-the-pocket freak thing.
Yeah.
And then the second injury, I think, happened when he got chased down from behind on a sack and was just driven into the ground. It wasn't the shoulder-to-shoulder hit in the open field.
But even, and this is something I know they're dealing with in Cincinnati with Burrow, Burrow wants to hold on to the ball the longest possible time to wait for something to develop down the field.
Yeah.
And a big point of emphasis for them this offseason is don't do that.
Don't. Yep. Protect yourself.
Protect yourself. So same with Deshaun.
Yeah.
If the first read, second read's not there, then you go and then you get down or you get rid of it.
Yep.
You just can't. It's too valuable.
Yep.
Fact or fiction, a veteran backup quarterback is a top 5 need this offseason for the Browns.
Fiction.
I think so, too.
I think it's fiction. I understand wanting to have a good backup, but I think DTR, especially with the changes that are going to be made, this is going to be a lot more of the stuff that he ran at UCLA. I like DTR. I thought he turned the corner. Jake Trotter said it yesterday. Leads the comeback win. He starts getting it going against the Denver Broncos. You know, that Denver Broncos game didn't fall apart until DTR went out. That ended up being a lopsided loss, I think 29 to 12. But that game was not – that's not how that game went. We were right in it. In fact, we were down 14-7.
Yep.
DTR throws a touchdown, and then I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, throws a touchdown to Harrison Bryant, then Amari dropped the 2-point conversion, and then he got hurt on the very next possession. So he had led the Browns on 3 straight scoring drives: field goal, touchdown. So you felt good about that. Like, he had 3 straight scoring drives. We're getting it going there.
I also think, having just watched a Super Bowl between those 2 teams and that quarterback who won one, a veteran backup, you're not winning the Super Bowl anyway.
I think that's fair.
So if you don't have Watson at his best and healthy, you don't have a chance anyway.
I think that's fair. That's the real reason why.
That's the reality of it,
That's
man. Is that, like, look what with all of these teams, there's nobody that is a veteran quarterback who can pop in and miraculously lead a team through Allen, Lamar, Mahomes.
Yep.
It ain't happening.
Yep.
How tough is it to predict Watson's year with a surgery we haven't seen from quarterbacks? Very.
It is very. I think there is, again, so much unknown because not only he's got to come back from the injury again, I think it's going to be at least 50% of a new look offense. And I think these are things he's going to be happier with and more comfortable with. And so we'll see how that plays out. He's the whole key. I mean, he is.
That's why
he's the whole key to the whole operation.
When we were doing the season review show yesterday,
great Rock, legend.
Combine ready.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day. That's right, Rock. Same to you.
Fantastic. Same. She's getting ready for the combine. That's her.
Yeah. They're in the hardcore
they're all in.
Yeah,
they're in it.
Long days, long nights, brother.
That's why when I yesterday when we were doing the season review show, it feels like the 2023 season is an entire book. I said this yesterday.
Totally.
It is not a chapter. There's no continuation of it. The defense has continuation, but offensively, it is a start. It is a bunch of chapters in the middle and a finish, and then there is no sequel.
Yep.
I feel like we're right back to where we were last year.
Yep.
Same spot.
Yep.
Like that's what this offseason will be. Does it look right? By the way, there is audio from NFL Films of the Chiefs flabbergasted that Kyle took the ball in overtime.
Really?
They couldn't believe it. Yeah. Couldn't believe it. Guess what isn't out on audio? And he was mic'd. What Travis Kelce said to Andy Reid when he got up in.
I did see the Greenlaw thing was tough to watch with all the different audio from the different people. So I didn't see that. Again, I see this totally both ways. I see the case for taking the ball first for the third possession advantage. I see the case for taking it second so you know exactly what you need to do. I see the case for taking it first from Kyle's standpoint because your D was just on the field for an entire 2-minute drive and was probably a little bit tired. I see the case for not. I also go back to see. I see the case for going for it. That 0 might actually be better than 3.
That was my favorite point you made yesterday, among many great salient points. Or I think that was on Monday's show. That they really should have just gone for the touchdown. And that 0 was better than 3. And that's hard to wrap your head around because you say, well, more points are better than none. I don't understand it. But 3 points changed the way the Chiefs attacked the drive.
They would punt the ball back to you.
They would have punted it. Yeah. So
you're giving them 4 downs automatically.
They have the mindset of we have 4 downs to get 10 every series of downs.
Right. Whereas they would have, and they did get to a 4th down, and they would have punted.
Yes, they would have. Yeah. All right, there you go. Coming up next, as we continue with the season review portion, we will take a look at Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski heading into this very important offseason for this team. That's coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. For team injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. One of the things we wanted to get into yesterday in the season review show, and we're going to get into it right now, is assessing both Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski this season. You can't assess either one more highly. I mean, Kevin won Coach of the Year. AB, you could argue, is General Manager of the Year, Executive of the Year for the things that he's done. So they absolutely crushed it. Both have big jobs this offseason. Let's start with the AB part of it, and let's start here. What was the biggest move this front office made this season? I think it's pretty simple and straightforward.
I think it's the trade for Dustin Hopkins.
Is it that, or is it the signing of Flacco? Because those two things, both, you don't win 11 without either one of them happening.
Yeah. I think because
the Hopkins one took more guts.
And that was,
for sure.
You had to cut the guy that you had just drafted.
Yes.
1 year later.
Quite literally punting on the guy you drafted.
You gave up a 2025 seventh-round pick for Dustin Hopkins, who I think changed the game. And the reason I say that is because that was a move that was made with the idea that our team was going to be our team. Flacco was born out of necessity, right, in the sense that everybody had gotten hurt. We needed to get somebody in there to play. We knew at that point P.J. Walker wasn't going to be that guy. So you had to go out and get Flacco. But I think those are clearly the two. The biggest moves made this year would be the drafting or the trade for Dustin Hopkins, the midseason signing of Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
And then I think from a draft standpoint, the best move this offseason would have been the drafting of DeJuan Jones.
Yeah.
And then from a player move, because of the way that he performed, you could also add bringing back Kareem Hunt. I mean, Kareem Hunt set a career high for rushing touchdowns for his career this year. And then I thought, Dalvin was such a good add for this football team.
AB hit everything out of the park defensively.
Yeah.
All of it.
Za'Darius didn't give you the numbers that you wanted, but I thought he gave the impact that you wanted.
I think so, too. I think if you watched the games, you felt the impact of Za'Darius Smith far more than the numbers would lead you to believe.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought all of those things were it, and it was every time that a move was needed to be made, the team was needed to be, given a little shot in the arm. He had the answers for it, and they did it. And by the way, that's an AB part. That's ownership too.
Yep.
That's willing to admit when you're wrong early, even if it's at great cost, and to be able to move off of it and put yourself with a position to win. This is another off season for him where he will have a lot on his plate. In terms of needs, we'll get into those as we get closer to the combine, but also no first-round pick again this year either for AB to work with.
Yeah, good news is that you've gotten first-round talent. MJ Emerson, DeJuan Jones, you're going to have to do that again one more time this year. And you think about AB's ability, the year that he did have a first-round pick to hit on JOK as a second-rounder. Delpit was a second-rounder. So he's shown the ability to hit on picks in rounds 2, 3, and 4.
He has shown the ability to draft like a madman when it comes to the offensive line and defensive back seven.
Yes.
Like crushed
yes.
those picks. Second rounders, third rounders, fourth rounders, crushed them.
Yeah.
Even an undrafted guy like Whippler, who I think's got a real future, there's been a lot of those guys.
D-line has been the one. D-line and receiver.
D-line and weapons
have been the areas because Anthony Schwartz, David Bell, Tillman. D-line has been Jordan Elliott, Tommy Togiai, Siaki Ika.
Yep.
Alex Wright. I think Alex Wright.
He finally showed
something last year.
Yeah.
What do you get excited about? You still have Isaiah McGuire's a young guy.
The Tillman one was interesting, but it's hard to judge because we were such a one-read offense. That's all we didn't, and hopefully Dorsey can do that. He can open up to where we're not such a one-read because I don't know if Cedric Tillman looked great in camp. He's got a big body. There's a lot to like about him. He can run. He can do all these things, but he really didn't get a chance. But even that's the way it was heading with Donovan Peoples-Jones before the trade.
He wasn't getting a chance.
He wasn't getting any looks, no targets, nothing. And even that happened with Elijah Moore, where when Amari went out, then all of a sudden it was like, okay,
Elijah's
he
really
can
good.
eat too.
Yeah,
but we really were two guys get to eat in the passing game. It was Amari and it was Chief.
And I think that's what you need to expand. You need to have a vertical guy. And I think Gabe Davis is a name that makes a lot of sense for the Cleveland Browns. Knows Dorsey, knows his system. He's been one of the more productive vertical receivers. Has a size element that we don't have. And then all of a sudden you'd have, Davis on one side, Amara on the other, Elijah in the slot, and give Tillman and Bell a chance to develop. And then you say, okay, because Bell made some plays for you down the stretch. He really did.
Yes, he did.
Tillman has the ability. It needs to be unleashed a little bit, but then you feel pretty good about your receiver room there. But yeah, that's the challenge is to continue to amass weapons, because in the backfield if you would have said coming into the season that Nick Chubb would get hurt when he did, and that between Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong, and Kareem Hunt, that you would basically get 2,000 total yards and 19 touchdowns, you would have said, wow.
Yeah.
And so you got that.
You would have. Yeah.
I still think you need a little more danger in that room. And Pierre's a guy I want to see get the ball more. We'll do a running back, pre-review, I'm sure, at some point. But danger on offense, and then game wreckers on the front of defense. That's the only two things that, like everywhere else, you're going to have a lot of decisions to make in the linebacker room, but they're good at drafting those guys. Tony Fields was a good draft pick.
Yep.
I mean, they're good at finding those guys. And they're good at the secondary. I mean, Cam Mitchell's turned out was going to be a great
secondary,
pick.
it's an A+.
Hickman,
Secondary and offensive line, it's
D'Anthony
A+.
Bell.
Other than Wills. Wills, we got to see if Wills can
go.
be, but
Yep.
he may have stumbled into Dewan, and maybe that solves that a little bit. Is this the most challenging offseason for Andrew Berry in his time here as general manager? No, not close.
No.
The most challenging was coming out of 2021.
Yes.
By far. And,
yes.
Well, this isn't going to work at quarterback. We need to go find another solution.
Yes. Exactly.
That was the one.
Yep.
As for Coach, Gibby wants to know, how have you seen him grow this past season?
I think that one thing that I think Kevin Stefanski is really, really good at is assessing his strengths and then areas in which he may feel like he personally was somewhat deficient, or that his style is maybe not even deficient is the right word, but where he may have holes in his game, and he's very good at finding people that fill those. I think bringing in Jim Schwartz and giving that fire, you even saw more personality out of Kevin this year, and I think that emotional style of leadership really resonates. He's clearly very smart. He clearly has the ability to command this team, and I think part of that you got to give credit to Andrew Berry and his staff in terms of the quality of the human that was brought into this organization this offseason, in terms of the veterans that were brought in, the guys that were drafted, that everybody worked together. But I thought, on offense this year, as much as he did with the defense last year and Jim Schwartz, I think that he's saying, look, I know what I'm really, really good at, but if we're going to maximize the strengths of our quarterback, we need to be more diverse than just what I'm really, really good at. And Ken Dorsey's a guy that can help us be that. And so to bring him in and make those changes. So I think he's grown in terms of his leadership, his ability to convey emotion and his passion to the team. And then just the fact that he is such a good overall steward of this organization. I mean, I think he really, to get through this year and all the things they went through, he won the Coach of the Year because everybody around the league that has an appreciation for what the Browns went through knows how difficult what he did was. To get this team ready to play and to beat the Steelers coming off of the emotional high of beating the Ravens, the devastation on Wednesday morning of losing Deshaun Watson is such a testament. So I think there's no doubt that he was an incredible schemer, play caller, put guys in positions to succeed and thus make money, and so they believed in him. And I think this year he became even better as a leader of men.
Yeah, and I think he's grown. I think his confidence has grown.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is it takes a great deal of confidence to see your own shortcomings and realize that you need help, or realize that there are things that you can be better at that are maybe out of your depth. That takes a great deal of self-confidence to do that. And so he knows exactly what he's good at. He knows exactly where his weak spots are. And in order to see yourself through that type of prism, you have to have a great deal of self-confidence.
Yep.
So that's what's made for what's happened this offseason. I just think the one thing that I think is going to be fascinating, and the one thing right now, it seems to be, we haven't, he said in the press conference, we'll see about all of these things. But, I think Kevin Stefanski's feel for calling a game is as good as any in the league.
Yep.
And I don't want that lost.
Agreed.
So if we can rely on Ken for the things that he does best and implement, you mentioned 50% offensive change from last year to make the most and best out of Deshaun Watson, perfect. But Kevin's rhythm for calling a game is a gift. And that's the reason, to go 11-6 with 5 quarterbacks is just absolutely unheard of. What is the biggest challenge facing Coach this offseason and into next season?
It's putting this offense together with Ken Dorsey and Tommy Rees and Deuce Staley and Chad O'Shea and Andy Dickerson to make it be the best offense that it can be and accentuate the strengths of our players and, most importantly, Deshaun Watson and eliminate or minimize the impact of the weaknesses that they may have or the schemes or whatever it is that we're running. And so I think that is the biggest challenge facing him because we've seen how good it can be, and we've seen two spurts really in the second half of 2020 and in the 4 games with Flacco. Now, he threw, unfortunately, too many picks and pick sixes, but you saw how good this offense could be, and I think the challenge is going to be it's going to have to look different, and it's not going to be able to be all in that bread and butter, how we can get better. But he's done that. I mean, think about the run game, the adaptability from being an outside zone Shanahan-Kubiak guy to now having a whole lot more of, pin pull and running power and running, more inside zone. They've done a good job with those things. So I think he's a very adaptable guy, and I think he's done a great job leading this team, and I don't expect that to change. I think this offense has the chance to be the most fun offense we've had in a while. Flacco was super fun for those games because of the big plays, but this one has a chance, I think, to be a real fun kind of modern-looking NFL offense.
I also think that there's probably a great deal of juice that you get if you're Kevin in that there is a lot of unknown. This is going to be a very different offense than the ones he's coordinated and been the head coach of here to this point. And he also doesn't know who all is going to fill those slots that are needed.
Yep.
We talk like we need more weapons.
Yep.
To compete with Kansas City, to compete with Buffalo, to compete with the Ravens and Cincinnati in the postseason. Like, you've got to have more weapons than we have.
Yep.
So this offseason will be about saying, here are our needs. How do we fill those needs?
That's right.
And that's the thing that's beautiful about Kevin and AB. They walk hand in hand on this stuff. So they're a great partnership. You ought to feel very good about where the organization is with those two guys being at the front of it in terms of personnel, in terms of what happens on the field. We'll go around the league. Coming up next, you're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. most passionate fan base of the NFL. Join Next Gen STM, presented by Ticketmaster, the official waitlist of your Cleveland Browns. Being a Next Gen STM, the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/NextGenSTM to reserve your spot today. Around the league, the Steelers have released a number of players, Mitch Trubisky among them, clearing up $13 million in cap space. Presley Harvin III was released as well.
And Okorafor was a starter for them.
Yep. So 3 guys released there, $13 million in cap space. Lots of conjecture they're going after Fields, they're going to go hard after Justin Fields. So we'll see.
Vegas thinks so.
Are they number
Schefter
one?
Talked about that. He talked about that Tomlin's always liked him, and that's the
not
guy
here
they're
for
going
any
after.
of that.
There's a certain he can be elite with a certain it's got to be you got to have somebody who will play a certain system. You can't try to make him something he's not. He's a weapon,
but I don't want to find out if they can.
Well, I wouldn't either. I like him individually.
It's great
a lot,
though
but
that they would just be punting on Pickett already. I mean, I'd rather they don't. I'd rather
imagine. You remember all the Steelers
great.
fans who anytime we would talk about Pickett being completely average would come at us.
Yeah.
Where are you at now?
I don't. I want Fields in Vegas. Vegas is a much better place.
39 minutes away from freedom for you.
That's true. Yeah. I feel like I'm giving you guys a B+, A-.
Oh,
I
you're fine.
got Dusty Daniels. I got a
just
rib
fine.
that's done. Yeah, but
all,
I'm hanging in here
with
battling.
ribs.
Nano said, "What's that show? Should I watch it?"
No. Gemstones? No. The only show that I've binged that I think Nana wouldn't. I don't think she'd like Mad Men. Could she do? She might. I think she could do Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, she likes Squid Game.
Oh well, then she can. Yeah, she can handle things.
She can handle things. Yeah.
Did she watch Ozark?
I don't know. That's a great show.
Yeah, and she has your passwords.
She does.
So that would work.
She has access to it all.
She has access.
The whole entertainment world is at Nana's fingertips.
It's all at her fingertips. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
as it should be. She
of course, as
it
should be.
She's the Nana.
Yeah,
that's right. But yes, I've heard the Fields thing on the Steelers pretty heavy. I think Atlanta, just get him out, just keep him in the NFC.
I wanted Atlanta with Monken.
That's what I want too, but that's not going to happen. Brandon Ayuk has some what? Oh, this was the girlfriend, right? Saying that our time don't they have a player option on him?
Let's see.
I don't know.
The girlfriend was like, our time in San
back.
Francisco is done, but I think they have a player option. I think they have a team
Debo,
option.
who misses 3 weeks with a cracked fingernail, would be gone before Ayuk.
I don't think so. I think he's back. I think that's why they're the favorite. They basically can run the band back for one more year.
Well, the weird thing about it is how he's being so upset. His brother's on Twitter. All these people are going nuts. So
free agent in 2025 for Brandon.
I knew he had.
So they picked up his 5th year for this year.
Yeah, so he's not going anywhere.
No. Yeah, I don't know what he's. That doesn't even make sense to me.
No.
Are you holding out? Are you going to hold out? Because that's not smart. That never ends well.
I mean, he's going to make more money this year than he made in the previous 4 seasons combined.
Yeah, so he's not going anywhere. The Chiefs parade is going on right now.
Oh, I know.
They're having a time, it appears.
Mahomes is shirtless.
He is.
Is Jason Kelsey there? I feel like I saw.
Be.
We're gonna play some clips tomorrow.
Okay, very good.
Of
very
their
good.
podcast that dropped. Cliff notes and a peek behind the curtain. The mask that Jason Kelsey wore the night of the
like a Rey Mysterio mask.
He's like, I just found that on the floor and put it on.
Come
and
on.
wore it all night. And Travis is like, you washed it off, right? And he's like, no.
Nah. Oh, that's great.
And Travis is like, Jason, come on, man.
Look at all the humanity that just is spilling up the stairwell.
Big meetings, man.
It's like 90 people walking up.
One of the funniest tweets that I saw yesterday was Travis and Taylor walking into the party, all decked out, and then Jason walking behind them in his Zubaz and the whole thing. And they said it looked like a scene from, I think they said it was a Ryan Reynolds movie, like Ryan Reynolds' new movie where he has an invisible friend. That like Jason Kelsey
is the invisible
friend walking around with them while they're going in this. Like,
I just think it's so cool.
It was hysterical.
He's the older brother. He is a Super Bowl champion. He's likely a first ballot Hall of Famer too. And he's that big of a super fan of it. Oh,
and by the way, I've got a shout out. Like,
look at that Valentine's Day
for
the Valentine's Day. Look at it. Oh, baby.
Jeez.
Oh, man. Well, he is running a business today.
He was. We were so ensconced in our research that he even had to slow down that we could look up and see, because he was running a business downstairs.
Running a business.
Boy,
That's
was
right.
he.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, shout out to his wife, like, who I think was at the Super Bowl with him and was like, I want nothing to do with whatever is coming after this game ends. Like, go live your best life. Like, that's an A+ effort from her.
Here, Travis Kelce chugged a beer while holding a cardboard cutout of his brother at the Chiefs Super Bowl party.
Well, at one point, he was on the shoulders of Creed Humphrey walking down the middle of the street, the middle of the parade route.
It's amazing.
Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The Jets are going back to their New York Sack Exchange jerseys as their primary option. What a surprise.
I love it.
Of course.
What's old is new.
Of course.
And those are great.
Everybody changes, and then it's just they wear the throwbacks. We're like, oh, those are great. Just wear them.
Yeah.
And good job. Good on you, Woody Johnson, for not being like Stephen Ross down in Miami, who's just hell-bent on keeping the ones the ones that he likes, the new ones, as opposed to just wearing the old ones.
They're so good.
By the way, I don't like New York Sack Exchange as much as I like the Namaths. I think the Namaths are perfect Jets, but these are much better than
the Penningtons.
Yes, yeah, the Saskatchewan Rough Riders ones they've been wearing. So they're going to go with they'll have a new. They had the green option or the white option this year. Which one did they wear this year? The green or the white option of the Sack Exchange?
I think the green.
Okay, so they're going to have the white, and then they're going to do a black version. So they're going to go that template. Perfect. I love it.
Speaking of the Jets, did you see Sauce Gardner's never going to go back to Vegas?
No, what happened?
I was in Vegas, and long story short, somebody did a card trick, and I'm 1,000,000,000% sure that the cards were in my hand. At the end, he said, cards aren't in your hand anymore. Now it's a block of glass. Move your hand. And sure enough, a block of glass was in my hands instead of the cards. I'm never going back to Vegas.
That's something everybody says as soon as they leave Vegas, and then they all go back.
Well, I like
the
magic trick was.
Have you guys ever been in part of a magic trick?
Yes, dude. I've been a part of one that is to this day inexplicable.
Oh yeah, you told me that. That was when you were with Miz and those guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was at the Miz's dad's favorite bar we'd go to the night before Thanksgiving. This magician who's been good. He's been on the big shows and whatever. I'll do a long story short. Had a card.
Yep.
I signed it. Kayla signed it. Handed it to him.
Yep.
Watched him rip it up.
Yep.
The card with my signature on it.
Mm-hmm.
Then he did some whatever. The big reveal was, he goes, I think there's something in your shoe. And all of a sudden I moved my foot around. I'm like, there is something in my shoe.
Sure enough,
in my shoe, when I took it off, was the card that I signed and Kayla signed, folded up, and I was able to unfold it, and it was a card signed by the two of us. Impossible. He never touched my foot. He was never near my feet. Impossible. Like,
and yet,
go into my shoe. It was under my foot, in my shoe. It's impossible.
You have your eyes on him the whole time.
Yes, I have my eyes on, but it's in my
It's
shoe.
in your shoe.
And I watched him rip it up. I signed one. We signed one card, the two of us. He ripped it up through my signature. I saw it. And then it was in my shoe, untorn. That's when I was like, I kind of Harrison Forded him. I was like, get away from me.
Get out of here.
Get away from me.
Get out. Kindly leave.
Kindly leave.
Kindly leave.
Not okay.
The Chiefs are signing defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, become the first coordinator with 4 Super Bowl victories, signed a contract extension with Kansas City on Wednesday ahead of the Super Bowl parade. One of those instances where had a shot as a head coach, but this is what he's best at.
Great coordinator.
He is a great coordinator,
Yep.
and there's tremendous value in that. And the idea that they're going to be able to go with Reed and Spagnuolo, youngest defense in the league. They got to figure out what to do with Chris Jones. They're running it right back.
Yeah.
Is the reality.
Yep. They're going to
The
try to
Super
win it
Bowl
again.
champs are running it right
Speaking of the champs, since 2001,
okay,
there have been 125 drives in the NFL postseason where it was at least the fourth quarter. There was under a minute left to play, and the team on offense trailed by 7 points or fewer at the start. These are your standard clutch moments for a football team. The do-or-die drives.
Give me the situation. It's down 7
or less.
Down 7 or less.
Yep.
Fourth Q.
Under a minute or overtime.
Under a minute. Okay.
Of those 125 drives, only 40% of them saw the team on offense pull off the magic trick and get the points they needed. Some quarterbacks are pretty good at it, such as Tom Brady. He went 5 for 11. Drew Brees went 3 for 6. Only Patrick Mahomes, though, is 7 for 7 or perfect in those dire situations, and he did two of them. He did two of them in that Super Bowl.
He's the magician who put the thing in your sock.
Yes,
is what he is.
All right. Did you see the crazy story coming out of the Super Bowl afterwards about 49ers John Feliciano?
No.
Anyone?
No.
Okay.
I saw it, yeah.
So there's two parts to this.
All right.
The first part is that John Feliciano, the day after the Super Bowl, he got hurt in the Super Bowl. And believe me, my father was not pleased about it. He got hurt in the Super Bowl. The guy who replaced him, I think his name was Spencer Burford, is the one who didn't block Chris Jones on the third down where Ayuk was wide open, Jennings was wide open, where they could have gone up 7 in overtime, and then it's a little bit of a different but still Mahomes is Mahomes.
That's when Chris Jones said, I love it when teams don't block me.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So Feliciano went out and tweeted basically like threw his teammate under the bus and was like, guy went in for me, screwed up, didn't block him, and it cost the Super Bowl. And so then that guy comes on Twitter and is like, thanks, John.
Thanks, pal.
This is what
Team
I wake
player.
up to, you saying this? And then he's like, I was emotional. I'm sorry. He takes it down. He's also embroiled in a current feud with Jalen Carter of the Eagles.
Okay.
Jalen Carter alleges during their Week 13 game, 49ers lineman John Feliciano was trash-talking him about a car accident that resulted in the death of one of Carter's teammates. That's what Carter says. Feliciano went to Twitter when this story came out to say this. Jalen Carter told me he was going to murder me and my kids would never see me again 3 different times in that game because I was laughing at him after getting a flag. I said to him, I believe you've got a body. Then he continued for weeks posting my fam and reaching out to my friends threatening to kill me.
What?
Jalen Carter, not exactly a clear past either.
No, but apparently, according to Feliciano, threatened to kill him.
Well, that'd be easy to find that documented.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So but he came out and he went to Twitter with this.
Good grief.
The best is, though, he did apologize. You can all come at me for unintentionally backstabbing and hurting Spencer. I can take that. I deserve some of that. But he said for the Jalen Carter stuff, no. Dude want to take the streets. I'm too old for that. In the NFL, we got too much to live for. All I'm trying to do is grow old on my farm. But he responded to that. He goes, if you're going to dish it, you got to be able to take it. He talked about my kids. I made that reference. I lost a friend to an accident too, so I understand why he's upset. I did feel bad and thought about apologizing until he started posting my kids on his Instagram, and I had to get the NFL involved.
Sheesh.
There's more to the Burford story if you want it.
Go.
Feliciano apologized on Twitter. He said, sorry, bro. Woke up with a hungover and being a bleep. Trying to have your back. I hurt you. You got nothing but greatness ahead of you. I'm sorry, bro.
There you go. All right. Gibby, you have some golf notes?
I do, but I'm trying to one up Griff and his little Spagnola and his little Griff fact of the day.
Oh my God, now you're going at Griff.
I'm going at Griff. It's his last day before vacation.
All right.
Spagnola, 1996, 1997. Defensive back coach. I know because I cut his practice tape.
Come on.
The Bowling Green State University Falcons.
Is that Herb?
No. Gary Blackney, 96, 97.
Wow. Holy cow. A little bit of talent on that campus in those days, Gibby.
Yeah.
You prowling around and everybody else?
And it's funny, I didn't remember it until my buddy who was the head of football video was like, hey, because he would always hire me to work like in the spring. They put me up in one of those bucket trucks up in an end zone that at the time was not secure, and everything changed once that guy died at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, yeah.
Yeah, I was the guinea pig before her. I would always film, and then I had to go to the defensive coaches. And he's like, you worked with this guy. And I was like, I worked with Spags? He's like, oh, yeah, he was definitely on the staff. And then I had to look it up, and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
God, that's wild. That is wild. And now you also have some golf facts.
I do.
You have some golf stories for us.
The box score for the 2024 Waste Management Open.
Man. Yeah.
Compliments of Shooter McGavin.
Yeah.
I saw this.
Calls for service, 653.
Oh, my God.
54 arrests, 211 ejections, and 73 trespasses. Come on, man.
You got to just be cool.
How did that get to that point?
That's a tremendous question.
How did it get from being like the funnest non-major of probably the most fun golf tournament of the year, but the one that everyone wants to go to other than the majors, to, like, I think Ricky Fowler called it Coachella for men.
Yeah. I don't
like you don't. I mean, so many of the videos of people. The one guy who's like leaning.
Oh, yeah.
People falling on their faces. Just get drunk and have a good time.
There's nothing
You have to
cool
be-
about being drunk in public.
No,
like fall down stupid.
sound like your boy right there.
I did.
You did.
You like that?
Not
so-
very cool. Nothing cool at all.
Nothing cool at all. Drunk in public.
In public.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah, well, and finally, in partnership with TaylorMade, I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on
Yeah,
Tiger
I'm glad
Woods'
you're bringing
new
this up.
apparel-
We didn't talk
apparel.
about this yesterday.
Sunny
Go
Day
ahead.
Red before Tiger returns tomorrow at the Genesis
So
Open.
Sunday Red is the apparel. It's in partnership with TaylorMade. It's going to be like
awesome.
Jordan Brand. It's all on their own. It appears that we are the absolute target for this stuff, our age. The gear is the gear that we wear, which is fast, decent, casual-looking pants that you can wear at a meeting, at golf, and at white tablecloth, and then a top that goes with it, whether it be a quarter zip or a golf hoodie. Like, that's clearly the look. I would just say this. This is a wildly competitive market. Wildly so. There are so many companies. If like just my Instagram alone, the amount of companies that sell this type of stuff
Yes.
that get pushed to me, and to try to get into it, it's tough. It's very tough. And I thought the logo was cool. I don't know why they didn't do something like that a long time ago at Nike.
The logo's great.
The flying tiger, running tiger thing is very cool.
And the 15 stripes are for each of his major championships.
Yeah.
And he says this, when he wins 16, they will update the logo with a 16 stripe.
Yeah. Somebody asked me, like, does he need to have somebody else wear it? And I said, no, he doesn't.
No.
He's still the biggest thing in all of golf.
Anybody I've showed this to of our age who are into golf and who love Tiger, I got the same response back from multiple people, which was take my money.
I'll be interested to see if they do, because his Tiger
gonna do
stuff
well.
wasn't wildly popular.
Tiger
My
Woods
kids
logo?
love it, like the TW, like they
Yeah.
would wear the TW stuff. But like when I would play golf, like you go to the club or whatever, and have somebody walking around in TW stuff.
I think this will get – I don't know if it'll be sustainable, but it will have a good, strong opening.
The key to it is going to be the subtle. Like the logo's got to be subtle. It can't be overpowering.
Yeah.
So it's got to be simple and subtle.
Like a black golf hoodie with that, like
just little
right
though.
here
Big,
would
make
be
it little.
Awesome.
Don't let it get
No,
big.
it doesn't need to be big.
Yeah. So
It doesn't
that
look big on any of the things that he's
No.
wearing.
Speaking of golf, the golf show is out at the IX. That starts tomorrow.
Our guy.
Starts
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep. You please go see our
Lagmaster,
guy.
go see him.
The official teaching pro of Cleveland Browns Daily, the great Sir Mike Dixon. He will
Yes.
be there. He has the Legmaster out there. We've tried it. It's awesome.
Yep.
He's the best. Seek him out. I know he'll be there on Friday between 2
Yeah.
and 7. So seek him out and tell him that we said so, because he's the best, that guy. Good human. Very,
All right,
very good human.
hold on. For the grip fact of the day, though, this has to be read verbatim.
All right, time for the grip fact of the day.
Like it's on a teleprompter.
Fact of the day, fact of the day,
This is about
fact of
to
the
be the tough
day.
fact of
It's
the
the
day.
Griff fact of the day.
The Oakland Athletics are naming Jenny Kavnar the first full-time play-by-play announcer in Major League Baseball history.
Okay.
That's like when
Let's-
they said
no.
Joe Thomas.
Hold on, wait. Hold on. Does anything in this Griff fact of the day strike you as incomplete?
Yes.
Read it again.
I got it now. I see
Read it
now.
again. Read it again.
I'm going to read
Just
it
as it's
add the-
it's
I'm
written.
going to add the correct word.
No,
'cause I know
first-
it's wrong.
Nope.
First,
Nope.
read
Nope.
it
Nope.
as it's written.
The
Burgundy.
Oakland
Hold on,
Athletics.
Griff. Can we get them on camera? And Griff, tell them to move over. Get in the shot.
Yeah. Griff, get in there.
No, this this is not on Griff. I don't want to put any
I know
blame.
it's on
I know
you.
that. We know
We
that.
all
We
know
all
it's
know
on
it.
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're
I
just
don't
bringing
want
Griffin.
Griff to be
All right, so just
The
go
Oakland
read it
Athletics
verbatim,
are naming Jenny Kavnar the first full-time play-by-play announcer in MLB history.
which would be a hell of a thing.
It would be awesome
if
that
we
made it
gotten
this
to
far
this
without
point,
one?
all of Vince Scully didn't exist.
Wasn't a full time. It was like when they said Joe Thomas was the first offensive lineman in NFL history. They just forgot the
one.
There's a couple of words that are
There's a
important in this
qualifier.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So
go
now
ahead.
do it the way it
the
should be
first
done.
female
Now
play-by-play
there you
announcer
go.
that's been
There it
hired full-time for any of the 30 Major League Baseball teams.
All you needed was female, and then
That's
you
right.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She currently works for Fox Sports 1, Pac-12 Network as a play-by-play announcer, and now she's going to work for the A's, which is cool.
That is very cool, and
fantastic.
it is a great fact of the day.
Yep. Last year in Oakland, how many years you got left there?
I don't know. My dad was telling me the other day, and I didn't do enough to look into it. But something like Vegas is trying to.
No, he's got
The
to stop
mayor
reading headlines.
of Vegas is saying they don't want the team.
The mayor of Vegas does not control the Strip. The county controls the Strip. She has no say on if the A's put a stadium on the Strip.
Why would she care?
Because she's not getting any revenue for it.
No, got it.
Yeah, but everyone was panic, including Pedro's got to go beyond the headlines.
Well,
he's got to go beyond the
he's
headlines.
the
Pedro.
sites
By the way,
that
I don't
he's
think
on to
people
go
in
deep,
Vegas
deep
care
in
about
things
the
are not
baseball team
covering
anyways.
that. Not
What's
covering
that?
I don't think the fans in Vegas are very excited about this. They did like a fan fest in Vegas, and nobody showed up.
Well, they need to change it to the Vegas Aces, and there's a AAA team that's the Aces already, but you need to just do that right away. You just keep
I don't
the
want to
same
live in a
legal.
world where the A's are gone.
Well, you can still have the A's on the thing, but they'll just be the Aces.
The A's,
Sorry, buddy.
they're the Athletics.
They are, but it's over. It's over. It's done. Your city couldn't get it together.
Mark McGuire,
All they try.
Jose Canseco,
in all
Dave
honesty,
Stewart,
I mean,
Terry
Carney
Steinbach,
Lansford.
Carney Lansford, Dave Henderson,
Come on,
Dave
man.
Parker,
Walt Weiss,
Walt Weiss, Tony Phillips,
Terry Steinbach,
Yeah, Steinbach's great.
bunch of good ones
Ron
on that
Hasse,
squad.
who was an Indian for a
Jeez.
time.
Catcher, right?
Yeah.
Bob Welch
Bob Welch, 27-6 one year.
killed it.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Wayland
I
Eugene
think we'll
Nelson,
push higher or lower
Dennis
tomorrow.
Eckersley,
I think we're
maybe a Greg
It might be.
Cataray,
What was your
Eric Plunk.
What was your how long have they been trying to do a stadium there?
Where?
20 years
In the
Bay
Area?
Area for them?
Yeah, I think so.
I think most of my adult life they've been trying to build. We're going to do it in Santa Clara, and we're going to do it in San Jose, and we were going to do it in what's the one with the H? There's an H. Wasn't there an H?
Hayward,
Was it that?
where I'm from.
No, I don't think it was that. There was. I want to say there was one other.
So was The Rock. Rock was born May 2nd, 1972 at the hospital I was born at in Hayward, California.
That's
because his dad was on the road. It's the opening line of his biography. I saw it and I was
You
like,
were
"Wait a
born
second."
in this. The Rock was born in the same town as you.
Yeah.
Have you had this conversation with him?
No.
Well, I think you owe it to yourself to have that conversation with him.
Normally when I see him, I'm like, hey, what's up? And
Hi, sir.
shake
Yeah.
a hand and tell him what he something
Do
that
some
he did was
Terramana
cool.
and-
that was it.
yeah.
Yeah. Big Terramana guy.
Big Terramana guy.
I am. It's
I am
always
too.
in my, you it would be impossible to come to my house, ask for Terramana, and not be able to have it. It'd be impossible. Yeah. Right, you're looking it up?
Yeah, I want to know.
Why
You're
don't we
checking
take
it?
a break and come back with
No,
it?
no, I got it. I'm going to get it. There was because I know that they.
And he was on the road with his dad.
Yeah, they've tried forever to get that sorted out. Oh yeah, they've even tried Sacramento. Remember that at one point? Like,
Oh, I thought you were looking up where The Rock was born.
no, I believe you where The Rock was born. I don't need to. I'm not fact checking you on the WWE.
Hayward, California. There
I
it
don't.
is.
Again, I don't need it. I'm with you. I'm with you. There you go. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And be sure to check out the Browns social media channels daily to play the Browns digital scratch-off game for your chance to win club seats and other great prizes. Presented by the Ohio Lottery, the official lottery of your Cleveland Browns. This from Andrew Siciliano. This is fantastic. So Mahomes on stage said, "They all doubted us. I don't want to hear any different. But you know who came through in the end? That's the Kansas City Chiefs." Who doubted you?
Everybody. What do you mean?
Because you're an underdog?
No, they were doubted this year in the sense that,
Nobody
coming out of
doubted
Christmas, yes.
You know what the highest odds they ever were to win the Super Bowl?
What?
Guess.
10 to 1.
You nailed it. For everybody who doubted them, the worst they ever were was 10 to 1.
This was the year they were vulnerable. Kelsey was struggling. They weren't looking like themselves. It felt like this was the year to beat them. It wasn't like the Chiefs are just going to go roll through and they're going to beat the Dolphins, go to Buffalo, go to Baltimore, and then beat the Niners. No, but they did it. I like that, and he's right. I think he's right. I think he's probably made it a bigger deal in his mind.
I think that you take anything you want, that you take anything you can for motivation, and I do think that they thrived on being on the road. I think they were genuinely looking forward to being on the road.
2 minutes.
There's no doubt in my mind.
because it was a
They've
box
never done
they
it,
never
and
checked.
people said that they can't do it. You can't go on the road. I think it invigorated them for sure to go on the road and to win. But I also think that, like most of us, when it came time to pick these games, 78% of people bet on them to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So I don't know what the numbers were in Baltimore. I picked them to beat Baltimore and cover. The only one I messed on was the Bills game, and I'm never betting against that's when I said I'm never betting against them again, ever. But my guess is the public was on them most weeks.
What it says to me, though, the fact they were made underdogs is that Vegas really thought they were going to lose one of those games because they knew they were going to get all the money on them, and Vegas did not. They did not get that loss.
Vegas had to take a bath.
Oh, my God. Super Bowl would have been Niners covered and won. It would have been massive for Vegas.
Yes.
And I thought they were going to.
Yeah.
But those special teams, yeah. And then Patrick said inevitable 7 for 7 in those situations.
That's nuts. I saw that this morning, too.
Yeah.
Chris Jones saying, I'm going to be back. I ain't going nowhere, baby.
Wow.
So they're going to run it back, and the Niners are going to run it back. That's the job.
What if they go 3 out of 5 years head-to-head and the Niners never get done? That'd be so tough.
They'd be the Bills. Is what they'd be. They'd be like the Bills of the early 90s. Like or the Braves, except the Braves finally won.
Yeah.
They finally won. But you knock on that door so often.
30.
If you can win one, then it validates.
Yeah.
But you have to win one of them. Cool scenes down in there. Looks like Mahomes is like trying to hold Chris Jones up as he's swaying. Oh, good Lord. Maybe one day, kids.
I love it.
All right, we are back tomorrow. The next level's coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.